as much as I love being a part of LCS, I think it really sucks that there's so much negativity surrounding it. I understand it. People get frustrated with, um, you know, essentially kids or young adults getting paid a lot of money to play games, and they make the same errors over and over. It's like the whole NA meme. Right?
This is Azento from Esports Heaven, and I have here with me Stixxay from Golden Guardians. A defeat against TSM, but you guys didn't look too bad in the early game. In fact, there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things going pretty correct for you guys, especially over in the top side with constant aggression against Huni and whatnot, and kind of punishing him. But over in the bot lane, you had the Kaisa versus Tristana matchup. But he was able to get, I think it was 2 plates on you. And then the early skirmish at 2 minutes didn't really do any favors
Mm-hmm.
for you in the bot lane. I think you burned both summoner spells. But just talk to me a little bit about that matchup bot lane and how it went. Is it heavily favored for Tristana, or like what's the dealio with that?
Um, I think it's a bit slightly favored for Tristana.
Uh-huh.
Tristana versus Kaisa, just typically is like a matchup. People pick Tristana into Kaisa for that reason, is because you can fight her, and if your support's stronger, you can typically get pushed on the wave.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, just when it comes to like two matchups, like Kaisa Nautilus versus Tristana Braum. Braum was also like a traditional counter to Nautilus, so we did think we were gonna go into the game like and have push on our lane because usually Nautilus level 1 and Kaisa level 1 is really strong compared to theirs, and
Mm.
they tend to like around like level 6 and stuff. They're kind of outscaling you. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think we had some misplays in lane, like the level 1 thing. Like I wanted to fight them, even though they were level 2. Like Tristana kind of jumped in our face, and then
Mm-hmm.
me and Chime were on different pages. Like he hooked away, and so I had to use both songs like that. So that was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean we're pretty precious about lane, so it's to be expected.
So, talk to me about your new support Chime. Like, can you touch on maybe his integration with the team overall, and specifically, I guess, with you meshing as a duo?
Mm. Yeah, I mean Chime's been on Academy, GGS Academy for quite some time before I was here, so he's been in the system for a while, and the coaches have known him, and I think they just had worked with him a lot and kind of understood. He's the type of player that just had a lot of growth in Academy throughout his time there, and they felt like he could do the same in LCS. I think, as a person, he's really easy to work with, takes feedback really well, and also gives feedback. Like he's not scared to dish it out at the same time. So I think those qualities are really important to have. It can't always be like one way. Even if you're a rookie, like you got to be able to tell your other people if they think something's wrong. Right? So yeah, he's been really easy to work with.
So, many have kind of speculated that Solo being brought, into the top lane and whatnot, was picked up also because there just wasn't enough, I guess, veteran voices in Golden Guardians. So, what is your take, I guess, on this narrative of having maybe more of a mix of veteran voices with rookie voices?
Um, I mean, I think it's really helpful. It's really important to have on a team. I don't think it's easy to have a team of 5 rookies unless those guys really know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a team of like last split, for example, when it was just me, it was like the veteran voice, and then you have like a lot of rookies. And newbie is technically a veteran, but I would say he wasn't as vocal. Um, yeah, it's just hard, right? Because I have to do a lot of like micromanaging and stuff like that, things that I'm not necessarily used to, or things that I wasn't doing before, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of having to play the game, do well there, and also try to micromanage these other things. Now, when you're bringing solo in, it's like he's really good at doing these things too. So I think to kind of put us together, we can kind of cuts my job in half when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Um, not to say like my rookies don't know what they're doing or anything, but there are definitely certain points of the game where we do need some direction around, what we need to be doing, what specific people need to be doing. So it's been
Mm-hmm.
really helpful having him because he's really good at doing that kind of stuff.
So speaking of that, and you being basically the only veteran last time, I know like a Blaze Olive he's a pretty old school player, and then
Mm-hmm.
you do have Newbie who did have some experience as well too. But like, did you have a major difficulty, I guess, being a leader of this team before, as seemingly you were the only big veteran anyways, and on top of that, you're playing the ADC role, which typically doesn't see, this big vocal voice that is supposed to be leading the team or kind of micromanaging the team throughout the entire game. Like what's your entire take, I guess, on this of you being the sole veteran for last split?
Um, I kind of approached it as like a new challenge. I mean, even on times when I was on CLG, I would have to step up and do things that I necessarily didn't do before because I felt that there was a lack of direction within the team, especially when it came to in-game. And I think some of that translated over to Golden Guardians, and it wasn't all new to me, but I definitely took it as a challenge of like, let's see what I can do, I guess. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't easy, right? Like we ended 10th last place for last split, and I really did my best on that front. But I think I'm the type of person where I'm not a natural leader. I kind of had to learn to do these things and try to figure out which way of communicating works best. And everyone's different, how they listen and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's hard. So yeah, I think that's why bringing solo in is really helpful for me.
So I guess speaking about your guys' record, I feel like it's there's been this topic of, I guess, negative comments from streamers or content creators about LCS teams and players a lot for this entire year. And I think mostly because of the co-streaming has, just become a new thing and whatnot. And, there's this whole, I guess, culture about internet culture to where the negative voices kind of stand out a little bit further, or they get more attention, I guess, than the positive voices. But what are your thoughts, I guess, in general about the negativity surrounding the LCS and the players?
I've thought about this a lot, like in my personal time, and I'd say because I'm a person who doesn't have a huge voice on social media and stuff like that, that's kind of like that for a reason. I don't really like to associate with the negativity and stuff, and as much as I love being a part of LCS, I think it really sucks that there's so much negativity surrounding it. I understand it. People get frustrated with, um, essentially kids or young adults getting paid a lot of money to play games, and they make the same errors over and over. It's like the whole NA meme, right? But yeah, it's a really toxic culture to be a part of. Even going as far to muting chat when I'm playing solo queue and stuff like that. It's like just helpful. Yeah, I just say it sucks. It sucks that that's the norm, and I wish it wasn't, but it is what it is.
And lastly, I want to touch on, I think, another topic which has been somewhat bubbling up of the seams, and I feel like you kind of have a lot of experience given your tenureship within the LCS of being with coaches. And there's a sentiment that maybe coaches aren't as valuable as one would take it initially from the outset, and especially from the outside fans. Even myself, I have a little bit of access, but not a whole lot, to see exactly what's going on with these teams and how coaches actually affect teams. But what's your, I guess, general take on coaches and their value, especially within the LCS, and I guess their effectiveness to maybe guide a play style or maybe guide players or team cohesion and whatnot? Do you actually think coaching in general is very effective within North America?
I think that's going to really come down to team by team. I could give you some examples. When I came to Golden Guardians, I was initially really impressed by Nick because he seemed to have like a closer connection with the players, and just in my case, like he really cared about making sure I was, not getting screwed in the draft or in game and stuff like that. And he would really point it out to my teammates and make sure, like, hey, like if you guys do this, it's really bad for AD carry, right? So I think when it comes to like that sense, he kind of makes sure that everyone's getting to play the game, right? And I think in general, like we have a lot of role coaches. We have a role coach for every role on Golden Guardians, and
Oh, wow.
I think they all just make the atmosphere very lighthearted as well. It's their job to criticize us on mistakes that we do or consistently do, things like that. But they also make the atmosphere a lot more lighthearted because, players are going to be really hard on themselves, right? So it could be very easy if, we have a bad game, all 5 players are really down on themselves, and, the room could get pretty quiet. But I think the coaches always try to keep it very, just lighthearted, like, just, try to have fun with us, all right? It's the game, but we do need to get better. Whereas on CLG, I would say the coaches were almost like hindering me in a way, right? They felt like they would tell me things that weren't correct, and I was like kind of having to do like mental gymnastics to be like, am I crazy? Like, there's no way this is right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that. And so that's like a case where I think the coaches were bringing the team down rather than supporting them. So it's definitely different team to team, but that was my experience with it.
Mm-hmm. So lastly, I guess I want to kind of break the air with you, maybe the fans and whatnot, Golden Guardians, and the sentiment of the community. So do you have anything that you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I mean, I know I still have a lot of fans out there. I'm not super active on social media and stuff, but I think a lot of that comes from kind of the earlier point. There's a lot of negativity surrounding it, so try to stay off. I think it's better for my mental health. And yeah, to my fans who still support me, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. And it might be the split of the Golden Gamers. I'm just saying.
All right. All right. I'm going to hold you to that. So, all right. This has been Azento from Esports Heaven and Stixxay from Golden Guardians. Thank you very much for your time.